Okay, we ready to go? Okay, I want to thank you for coming today. We obviously know what has been happening with the big impacts of decisions we made with the proposed mega prison in Franklin County and how controversial that went. We all know about the passing of Senator Stubblefield, somebody that I knew, first met in 2009 when I was a Republican leader, and I went to his house and talked to him about running. One of the biggest issues I talked to him at that time, as anybody knows me as a former election commissioner, the author of the photo ID bills here in Arkansas and a lot of election laws, is that I fought voter fraud back when it wasn't popular to say so. And one of the things I'm proudest of was being a part of, countering the voter fraud whenever they said it wasn't occurring when it obviously was. We know from the Hudson Hallam case over there that the state rep had to resign for voter fraud because they were destroying ballots. And what people really need to know, and one of the other proudest things I did was going to East Arkansas and rooting out fraud of absentee ballot fraud with multiple signatures on people that was designed to fraudulently try and change the representation of an election. And that's what voter fraud really is about. It's about changing the representation. Hudson Hallam destroyed ballots so that the real person that should have been representing those people was not represented and basically misrepresented. And that's why we're here today. I can tell you that Senator Stubblefield and I, like I said, knew each other for several years. We were both cattle guys, farming guys. We talked about a lot of different things. And one thing I want to say that by the governor, when her first announcement was to make sure that those people in that Senate district did not have representation for 14 months. Can you imagine if Joe Biden and one of our U.S. senators did not allow representation for the people of Arkansas for 14 months? What would be the outcry? But all of a sudden now, there's a much different situation going on. And both of those situations are wrong. Senator Stubblefield and I talked about several times. There may be a Democrat-Republican issue. There may be a liberal and conservative issue. There may be a moderate issue. There may be a lot of these things, but sometimes issues come down to right and wrong, and it's that simple while we're here today. If you look at this situation of even moving back this special election to June, you're basically allowing stolen representation. You're trying to steal representation from the people in that Senate district at one of the most crucial times of our state government and one of the most crucial issues. And I want to go through a few of the things where I'm going to tell you how this attempt to have the special election after the budget session will impact not just the prison issue, but it will also impact the budget session. We decide billions of dollars in this next budget session. So these people, by trying to manipulate the outcome and the representation of the people, will impact their decision. They will have no representation during the budget session. We have to introduce non-budget bills, which require a 2/3 vote threshold. Those votes can come down to one vote. So in the introduction of non-budget bills, those people will not have representation. They will have it stolen from them. Senator Stubblefield served on joint budget. He had enough seniority. Their representation on joint budget will be stolen if we do not have an election before that budget session. If you look at the vote on Judiciary Committee, where quite possibly important things are decided on the Judiciary Committee involving the prison. And once again, his district and mine, being close enough, could be the most impacted from the mega prison and impact them for decades. And all of a sudden, this governor believes that they should not have representation during this crucial time. If you look, it actually on Legislative Council, and Legislative Council right now can decide these prison contracts, the architect contracts. So Senator Stubblefield and those people's representation will not be happening. So if you look, another issue, if you just look at sheer Republican, Democrat, red to blue, that decision by putting off the election until after the budget session will delay Senator Stubblefield and those people's representation on Legislative Council. It's essentially flipping it from red to blue. You're essentially flipping, Senator Flowers will be Senator Stubblefield's representation on Legislative Council. Senator Flowers voted for the prison appropriation and tried to do the capital projects. So you have a total flip of votes there that is against the representation of the people and giving it to the other side. It's as clear as day. If you look at the representation, there's a lot of difference between Clarksville or Greenwood and Pine Bluff. Just in that sheer alone, to flip the representation of those people's district to another district that has almost no similarities to it is quite frankly wrong. This decision will impact billions of dollars. It will impact Arkansans' pockets. Every time down here, a lot of times one vote decides anything. We have, Senator Stubblefield and I, are just one vote. But a lot of times that one vote can impact billions of dollars. It will impact decades of impact for Arkansans, just not even alone in the prison issue alone, even though that is enough. So that's what I'm saying. I know what voter fraud was. I fought voter fraud, even when it was unpopular to do so. Voter fraud, it really is about stealing representation, and this putting off the special election for his seat is about just stealing representation. So with that, I'd take any questions.
Could you explain to me, I couldn't quite tell why you were saying that this district was going to be represented by, I think you said Senator Flowers, and that might just be because I don't understand how it works, but you mind explaining that a little bit?
Yeah, in Legislative Council, which is the governing body outside the session, there's millions of dollars of contracts to be signed. You can see where $4 million of Learns was decided and gave to an outside company. You can see where a while back with Learns, it's fiscally responsible, in my opinion. $90 million was pulled out of one-time account to help, pay for ongoing expenses with Learns. So if you have these prison contracts that are coming up, HDR right now is still in the limbo. Those prison contracts will be decided in the Legislative Council. So you would have Senator Stubblefield that is representing that district, most impacted. Now his vote is given to Senator Flowers.
Are you saying that Senator Flowers would be at ALC now because he's not there?
Yeah, she's the first alternate, so now Senator Flowers will be basically voting on these issues, even though the most impactful district is Senator Stubblefield's district. I've reached out to the governor more time. I have my cell phone, but they do not want to talk to me. If you look at, no-show Joe Porfiry, who's paid almost $250,000 a year, refuses to answer questions. If that alone don't make every Arkansan shudder about what's going on with the government right now down here, it concerns me. But I'm open to talk to them anytime. They know that. But they're going to have to answer the tough questions they need to answer, and they just, like Joe Porfiry, they want to duck and run. But I'm open anytime they want to discuss it.
Have you thought about just making an appointment, going to the office of the governor?
I've reached out multiple times. They know that. I don't, like I said, it's one thing to be against Senator Stubblefield or myself, but it's one thing to be disrespectful to the people that we represent. And, one thing about Senator Stubblefield was the article in the Democrat Gazette a while back that Penny Weaver did about the extortion, the bribing of legislators with, your tax dollars for the district. He well documented exactly what's going on behind the scenes. And they know down here behind the scenes who they can push and shove around and who's going to stand up and do what's right. And so, that article said it all about what is really going on. And the idea down here that if you vote against them, we're going to get you an opponent, but if you vote with me, all of a sudden, I'm going to try and keep you from getting an opponent. So right now, legislators with a filing fee are like, a lot of them, don't want an opponent, so they're willing to sink Arkansas into a financial boondoggle rather than them face the voters and for their decisions. Like I said, go back and reference that article.
Tell me why you think the governor keeps pushing for the prison to be where obviously the citizens don't want it. Why do you think she's so determined to put it there and nowhere else?
Yeah, it's not just the citizens and being an NIMBY in the issue. It's about looking at a holistic problem that she's not interested in. This prison, as it's actually all the people in the state of Arkansas. I've been contacted by people literally all over the state. And if you look at like Alabama, for example, when you get in these financial disasters, look at Alabama, for example. Their legislature is going to go back and borrow money. They're talking about impacting every part of state government business. So why she continues to go down a path that is clearly, like I said, how do you even go out there to a place and buy a piece of property to try and find water for 3,800 people, and you don't get enough water to run a dwelling house, and what they got was sulfur water. Y'all, Senator Stubbsfield, I was cattle guys. If we were putting a 3,800 square foot, 3,800 head feedlot out somewhere, we damn sure make sure that we had water or knew how to get it or how much it was going to cost to do it. I've sent multiple questions for months to the governor's office to try and answer questions that's going to impact all Arkansans, and I've got absolutely nothing back. You know, this behind the scenes extortion, buying people off, trying to manipulate, to steal the representation, is not what our country's founded on and what should be. Let me give you an example. The most recent example I've been told of a senator resigning was Senator Lance Eads. He resigned on October 28th. His special election was February 8th. You're talking about almost a 6-month period where that is condensed down to fill his election. Let alone, we were not dealing with the mega issues we were dealing with today and the impactful decisions that's going to impact Arkansans for decades just on the prison issue alone. I mean, you can pull up the article and look at it. Yes?
What year was that?
Be 2021. Senator Lance Eads, he resigned to, well, we have a 2-year ban on lobbying, but he went to work for a lobbying firm and called himself a consultant or something. But you can look that up.
I have a question about the updated special election dates, but even though it was been moved up sooner, it's still, I think, 130 days after the 150-day deadline. The governor still says it's impractical or unduly burdensome to hold a special primary election and special election within 150 days after the vacancy opens up. What's your response to that? I know it's kind of dependent maybe on the Secretary of State's office, kind of when is most practical, but do you still kind of not buy that it's, could it have been sooner to kind of get folks representation?
Well, Senator Stubbsfield and I were cattle guys, so naturally we talked a little different language that might not be appropriate, but I'll quote former Republican presidential President Theodore Roosevelt, and I would say bull feathers to that. You can figure out the rest.
Yes, sir. And I don't know if we can switch gears, but did you have any response to the, I guess, Porfiri's meeting with representatives from ICE?
None, zero. Yeah, I mean, once again, they're not answering questions. How many times you see Republicans in D.C. go after Democrats because they won't show up to testify and then they won't provide answers, but then all of a sudden this issue, you know, Senator Stubbsfield and I, well, we talked about it. You know, we watched Lonesome Dove and old Western movies, you know, and I mean, Senator Stubbsfield and I, you know, we took on crooked Democrats and we take on crooked Republicans. We don't care.
What's the speaker telling you? Have you had any discussion with him?
Who?
The Speaker of the House?
The Senator Pro Temp, Bart Hess, yeah, he seems to support this. He'll do whatever the governor tells him to do. I don't know that he even thinks for himself, to be honest with you. Sam, I have trouble hearing after.
Have you spoken to any of your other fellow senators about their thoughts on this?
Yeah, there's been text messages I've sent. I mean, I've been busy enough. I have to farm and do cattle and stuff, but they obviously have, like, you can see which ones are going to say this is the right thing to do and this, you know, moving it up. I don't know how anybody can defend trying to put off representation for a district for people that pay their taxes for 14 months and then all of a sudden go back to June and rob them of every opportunity that I just outlined in 8 different categories of how it's going to impact them. Not just that, but impact Arkansas. Just think of the decision from going red to blue on the Legislative Council vote with Senator Flowers. Yes?
Given everything that we have learned about the prison site since the regular session concluded in April or May, do you think that not having Senator Stubblefield's seat filled by the time of the fiscal session could tip the balance in the Senate come the fiscal session next year?
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. Every time, you know, so many times one vote decides things. It's much like a rudder on a big ship. It may be underwater, but these decisions impact where the ship goes. And I've seen multiple times down here that one vote make a difference. Look how many times we historically beat this governor back 5 times. Every vote matters down here, especially on this critical issue. And that's why they're basically trying to steal representation, so these people in Franklin County who are going to be the most possibly impacted for decades are not going to have a voice down here with billions of dollars. I mean, like I said, it's going to impact all Arkansans.
Do you think it was deliberate setting the special election date the month after the fiscal session?
No question. No. Like I said, bull feathers if you say anything else. If you keep making me, Andrew, say something, I'm going to say the other word, but I'm going to try and stick with bull. I'm going to stick with bull feathers. So. Okay.
I know that Senator Solofield's family is here. Do they have anything that they would like to say about this?
Do you want to just say, do something real quick? Okay. And understand, this is about me answering the question for Senator Sofield. I've been basically trying to do everything I can to cover his district and work with the family and the people up there. So, you know, I would just expect you to be respectful of, you know, Ms. Sullivan. So.
Tell us your full name and spell it.
Amber Sullivan. I'm not a public speaker. I don't even feel like I should have to be here today. My family is grieving. We are daily dealing with this, having to see it in the news. This shouldn't even be an issue. My father represented his people. He loved this state. He loved his country. And he loved Franklin County. I'm going to try not to break down, but I would not be here if it were not for standing up for what he believed in. And all we're asking is for our voice to be heard and do what is right. We're not asking anybody to break the law, but his seat should not go unrepresented for 8 months, 9 months. It shouldn't go 5 months unrepresented. He had a huge voice. He was very respected. He earned that. And now it's being pulled away for whatever reason that we are not given an answer to. I have reached out. I have gotten nothing. And all we are asking is the people around this state to contact this governor, contact your representatives, and find out what is going on. This election should be taking place in January. It could have taken place in November, actually, based on the days of when my father passed. But for some reason, they continue to put it off. And all we are asking is for accountability for those people that he was passionate about. He was not even healthy the last few months of his life, but he stood strong in everything in his being, stood for them. And they represent everybody in this state. It's not just Franklin County we're talking about. We're talking about everybody around the state that this will affect. And this isn't just about the prison. This is about his seat. This is about every issue that he will miss out, that our district will miss out on a vote for, whether it be health insurance, education, everything. And we deserve a voice, and I think he deserves the respect. And that's all that we ask, as for this election not to be continued to be pushed back. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to end the conference. In any other questions that need to be asked afterwards, I just appreciate them, all those directed to me. So thank you very much for coming. Okay, thank you. Anybody have any other questions afterwards, let me know. I'll be around here about